Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today it's time to look at the new Protector Veldora, the Wild Storm Dragon, drawn with the special art style of Mitzvah, the light novel artist. It looks very different. I don't mind it though. I know some people are kind of on the fence about it, but hey, they've done it before with Second Annie Hinata and Shizu. But what I'm not on board with is just this Veldora's kit. So, he gives Tournament Stalwart extra damage against water, physical allies get 25% attack and defense, and then turn 2 to turn 5 you get an extra 30 skill points passively, just like Exalted Champion Belzard or New Year's Xion. So that kind of same gimmick right there. Tournament Stalwart is not a good team. Not a good fully fledged out force, because if we look at it, it's got a total of 6 units. 2 of them are free to play, 2 of them are old as dirt, 1 of them is on a different force that was not really that good, and then we have Lumi, who is a good character, but this is it. Until we get the 2 other summonable characters in this meta, this is it. 8 units total. That is not a good selection of characters for one. So already he's losing that fight of widespread team. The second part of his kit, his actual protection skill, is a combination of both Tempest Elite Trainee and Summer Trainee. Tempest Elite Trainee, she alt-rushed your highest attacking character by 100%. So when you use Trainee, you got 100% alt gauge immediately. Veldora does that, but for all wind and water characters. So Trainee did it for 1. Veldora's doing it for any wind and water. So if you build an entire team of wind and water characters, the 3 up front will get 100% alt gauge. If you use them twice in turn, that's a guaranteed EX alt right there. He also gives a 30% attack buff for everybody, including the backline, but the first 5 turns, it's 60%. And then after 5 turns, it's 30 for the rest of the fight. So, guaranteed alt rushing, a 60% attack buff, and then the Summer Trainee part of his kit is the Future Hand of Orbs, which, yeah, it's an okay thing. You're not going to see any use of it until turn 3. It's all very gimmicky, and the attack buff really isn't all that impressive. So overall, like, I'm not a fan, but let's test them out. Okay, so we're going to start out on the Tournament Stalwart-ish team. Veldora, I've got the skill point on Blue Charm, because besides his 30 points he gives you for the first couple of turns, no one's really giving you points on this team. A 6-hand of blue gives you like 48 or something, and that's just not enough. So we're going to make sure that we can get a little bit more out of that. And then we have Summer Shizu to be an alt swapper and weakness strike, the new Shinsha who's going to give us the guaranteed crits, but also the Protector of Peace Rimuru will also do that while giving himself a 100% alt buff. And then we've got Octagram Lumi for more alt and AoE, and then new Lumi, and then Rimuru himself. So we have a wind and water character. Veldora will rush both of their alts, so this should be fairly efficient, but let's check it out. Okay, the only unfortunate thing is that I did not bring someone to convert turn 1. I mean, you could bring Gobta, you can bring Carrion. He would work good, especially if Carrion is skill fused. You can get that 40% crit damage, which would be a lot better than Shinsha's 15%. But hey, something's better than nothing, right? So, let's leave Lumi in the back because she's meant to just orb steal. So let's bring Protector of Peace Rimuru in, and we can just send these couple blue orbs here. He's going to get the extra damage increase because he's on the actual force itself, so he's doing 12.5k right there. Well, I mean, that's certainly something now, isn't it? Okay, well, we got a lot of Shizu orbs to steal. So, you come out, and then we'll yoink all those. We will get the AoE buff and the alt buff going, so now we're going to have 50% at least alt gauge increase on these, which will offset, I think, the debuff, at least for the alt gauge part, yeah. And then we'll guarantee that Veldora gives us the Future Hand of Blues. So let's make sure his animation is on. I don't know if I've used him yet today. But, so, wind and water, alt gauge 100%. wind and water characters. So as soon as we are done using Veldora, we're going to have a free alt for both of these characters. We're going to get a 60% attack buff, which, I mean, cool, whatever. And then the future hand of blue orbs will happen turn 3. And that's kind of a problem I have with Veldora and all the protectors that have future hands, is because they take 3 turns for you to actually see the benefit of these orb changes. So turn 1, you don't have your protector, right? So you have to convert using whatever units you have available. Turn 2, you can use the protection skill, like what we're going to do here, but the future hands are not actually going to become apparent until turn 3. And this is a 5-turn team. So half of your fight, you're not actually getting any orbs out of Veldora. And that, I think, is a huge problem with these protector units that have the feature orbs. Because if it's a battle unit, like Mirai or someone, you can use that, you can do it turn 1 if you have the points for it, or turn 2. But here, like, you're locked into turn 2 for turn 3, and that's not very good. So now you can see that this orange orb is now glowing, because it's going to get converted. So changes hand into blues when receiving it, turns left 1. So let's go ahead and send these 6 orbs here. Gets us the EX alt for Lumi, that's good. And then the entire next hand, besides this incoming blue or the alt orb for Lumi, is going to be all blues. Boom. Oh, and the alt orb for Rimuru as well. So that works pretty well. But now it's turn 3. Okay, we don't have another Veldora, so we can't guarantee that the next hand is going to be blue. So, kind of a problem there, and we also can't alt rush because we literally only got orange orbs last turn. So that's not what I would call overly productive, and also, we're not going to get a lot of skill points off this. So, let's go ahead and bring in Shinsha for Lumi. We have the points for that. 25 and 15, yeah. So another AoE buff, boom. And then we'll bring Shinsha in to alt swap Lumi's orb, because she only swaps wind. Cool. And then we'll bring in Shizu, and we can use her single alt swap, because it's just generic, and that'll swap Rimuru. Okay, there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom. Now we've got a double Veldora here. So that is double alt gauge rushes for 100%. So even if Lumi, for some reason, didn't have an alt, like, we could have sent it last turn and gotten rid of it, and we would have made it back again on this turn, ready for turn 5. So you are able to very quickly rush alts out the gate. You don't have a lot of points, because you can see, we sent a full hand of blue. They have the charm effect still active, so skill point increased by 40%. We're only at 118, because we're not getting really any other skill points apart from his free 30, which is cool, but there's, at least the other protectors, Trainee gave like a 70% skill point buff on blues. The old summer Trainee, she gives 40 points every time you used her, so like this could have been 80 points right here. Don't really have that luxury right now. So, let's put the weakness strike on, boom. And then we'll start Veldora up. So this will give Rimuru his missing alt gauge right there. Boom, now he's done. This will also ensure that any orb that comes in is going to be blue, which means if we swap these characters out, they're going to remain, these incoming orbs, this orange, will actually be a blue. So, blue orb, oh, okay. Now let's swap Rimuru out, and, oh hey, blue orb. So you can control it to an extent once you've activated it. If we were to swap Rimuru and Lumi out before using Veldora, it would have been 2 orange orbs. But because we guaranteed that the next incoming orb would be blue, that meant that those orbs would be blue. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've got 90 skill points, which is actually 120 skill points. And we should be good because we've used the weakness strike buff already. And we should be ready to nuke on turn 5. I think we have enough points. We might have to forego the Rimuru buff, which is not the biggest issue in the world, because we already have the weakness strike. So we're good there. So Lumi for probably Lumi. Boom. And then Rimuru for Shizu. And then we will use the physical buff, the crit, and yeah, we don't have enough for that, which is fine. So
Physical and physical damage. There's the crit and 15% crit damage. Let's get the 60% attack from Veldora. Okay, we can turn this off now. And then we'll nuke. So, turn that off. Alright, so Lumi has 20% ult damage from Octagram Lumi. Okay, sure, whatever. We've got AoE attack from other Lumi. We've got Weakness Strike, 60%, from Summer Shizu. Attack, 60%, that's from Veldora. 80% physical, 100% physical damage, guaranteed crit, and crit damage. And this blacked out 60% right here, that's from our previous usage of Veldora, so you can't do it twice. So, let's go ahead and see what we get here, and I guess we'll just send these. And Lumi, yeah, sure, we can watch this too. I have no doubt that we're going to kill. We have the true attribute unbound status, we have the physical damage buff. It's a double, it's a 2x multiplier for everything that we do prior to it being activated. I'll be very surprised if she didn't kill there. So we don't have a very powerful team, right? We didn't use Rimuru's buff. We had 2 stacks, 1 stack of the ult and 2 stacks of the AoE from Octagram Lumi. We had the Shinsha buff, 15% crit damage. It's not very strong, but Veldora, I mean, is he enabling you to do things? Yeah. He's giving you that very quick ult gauge. Everything else, I'm just not super duper impressed with. Like 60% attack for 5 turns, and it drops to 30. Like, ooh, whoop-de-doo. And then his problem with the feature orbs, not until turn 3. Like, you just don't see it until turn 3. So, let's try him out somewhere else. Okay, we're going to take him into the Wind 2.0 Tempered Edge versus Veldora and Geld. We're going to bring Diablo and Geld, and we're going to bring the old Wind 2.0 team plus the free-to-play Gobta from Tempest Elite, Blue Orb focused team, and we're gonna benefit off the ult rush. None of these characters are EXs, so we only need 1 bar technically, and then the few amount of points we do need on this team, we're probably going to make back. So is it bad to say I think he's a better protector for like older teams? Yeah, that might be a bit too harsh because they don't need so much ult gauge, right? But at the same time, skills aren't as expensive, units aren't as strong. I mean, he's not going to give really anybody here the extra damage buff, which is not a terrible thing. Oh, we actually got very lucky here, okay. So we'll just do that. Boom. So remember that we don't have access to feature orbs on turn 1 or turn 2. It's gonna be turn 3. So let's bring you in for Geld, and let's bring you in for Gobta. Let's go ahead and send this. 3, 4, 5, 6. With the traits, not only from the support slots for Dino and Diablo, but also Trainee's trait, we're gonna have a double Protector next turn, which will give everybody on this team, for the front line, an EX ult, which they can totally 100% use, right? So, boom. And boom, there's an ult. And, I mean, we don't have to use it again. We've guaranteed that our future hands are going to be blues already. It doesn't really give us anything on this particular team to use him twice. So, I'm just simply not going to. Only having 1 orb here is actually kind of unfortunate. More so than anything else. Let's bring Gobta in. Let's use his convert. Boom. Okay. And then let's do... do we have enough for that? No, we don't have enough for that. Okay. So yeah, turn 2. It can be a little brutal. And because the Protector doesn't immediately give us orb benefits, it can be rough. And RNG really going to be pretty heavy there. So boom, and then we'll change all these to Diablo orbs. And then this 1 green orb, because we're not going to send it, it's still going to remain. But the next incoming 4 blues plus the 3 blues and 2 alt orbs, they're going to be blue orbs. So it is just it's a bit wonky to play around. And especially if you don't have a lot of alt swappers, which we kind of need. But thankfully we can take out Trainee here, and we're pretty much ready to go. So now Diablo has an EX ult. let's go ahead and convert that one green orb. Okay, we'll use Veldora again. This will ensure that the future orb that we're going to swap out for Trainee is also going to be blue. We can bring in Gobta, ensure that that one's blue, swap the Gobta or the Diablo alt to blue, and now we're going to be pretty ready to go. We're going to have 72 points here, plus the extra 30 from Veldora next turn, and we're going to have 130 points, which is more than enough that this team needs to actually reliably do damage. I think it only needs like 90 something. Don't quote me on that number though. It's not like I have the old Win 2.0 team units skills memorized. But let's bring Dino in for Gobta. And then let's do this. So because we already have a blue orb incoming, we don't need to use Veldora here, but we do want to use him for at least his attack buff. So boom, boom, perfect. 60% attack across the board because it is within turn 5, so we're good there. And now we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so we are fully buffed up. The attack buff that Diablo gives himself is going to be wiped out by a Veldora's attack buff, but it's still fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we should be out of here. So Diablo does 99,000. Never mind, he sucks. This is an AoE. Oh wow. Oh wow. Did we use everything? Okay, this is not Diablo. This is not Veldora's fault. This is just the team being shit. This is just the actual rest of the team being hot garbage. Well, the good news is that we already have alts again, because we were rushed alts, and they're not EXs, so they only used 1 bar anyways. So another attack buff, and now we can kill Geld. That was a really bad showing. Again, that's not Veldora's fault. That's just the significant lack of power that this team has. But I think everything is still active because the wind buff lasts for 2 turns. We already have the attack buff. The crits are 3. Those are 2 turns, and this is a 2 turn. So everything is still active right now. So we're still going to nuke at full power. And there we go, 102. Yay! Did Veldora help us out? Certainly. Was he the best pick for this team to take on this fight? God, no. God, no. You got Exalted Champion Velzard, you're going to bring her. But it is an example. Okay. Final clip. I mean, we only can use wind and water characters with Veldora, so it does limit us quite significantly, which is just another problem that I have with him. We've gone from Himmel not needing anything restriction-wise to 2 elements, weak elements, and gimmicky Protector. But we're going to go into the Water 2.0 Tempered Edge, and we're going to try and nuke with Fantasy Milim, since she is a EX Water character. Technically, she's an EX Unbound character now, because of her recent upgrade that came with this meta. We'll be back until I get like a good turn 1 or turn 2 or something. Okay, it wasn't like a good orb spread as far as colors is concerned, but I can definitely take 5 orbs for somebody and make it work. So let's take you out, let's take you out. We'll send these orbs. I guess we'll use a couple of these. Because remember, every time you use a skill, Milim gets more crit damage. So we do want to make sure that we get some orbs here. So 1 and 2, perfect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't actually get her ult, which is good, which means that we can hold on to that. And then maybe this turn will be better. Well, technically, yeah. Oh, no, we got the trait. Well, I mean, it's still fine. So let's take Fire Milim out. And then we have 68 points, so we can alt swap orb change. Boom, boom. So that's now 4 skills we've used. We have access to Veldora, so now Milim is going to have her EX ult after 2 turns with very minimal RNG right there. And we're looking fairly good. So now we just need to build up and use a few more skill points to be able to actually nuke. We have to use Fire Milim to 1, give us crit rate, and 2, seal the enemy Shuna's crit resistance. That's a good turn right there. Wow. And I need to swap her out anyways. So that works. 120 points. Let's do the alt swap again. Boom. And we have up to 4 turns to do these buffs. Yeah, turn 4. So let's do blue to green. No, let's not do blue to green because that would defeat the purpose of this. Well, I mean, I guess we could because we could just change it back. Yeah, let's do that. Just more crit damage. So, oh yeah, no, we screwed ourselves. So what are we going to do? All right, bring you in. And then we'll bring Water Rimuru in, I guess. And we can use him because he's actually technically cheaper to use. Yeah. And then we can alt rush and get a future hand of orbs again for turn 4. And we got Water Rimuru's EX alt. Isn't that something, guys? Okay, so we need to have 135 points to nuke efficiently. Because we got to use the alt buff, the crit buff, and then the EX Millim's 25 point skill. So we... Sure, okay. Yeah, we need to go one more turn. So let's do this. Still within 5 turns, so it's going to give the 60% attack buff to everyone in the back, which is, again, fine. Because we can just hold on to it. Now we have max points. Technically, we're going to have 180 now with the last turn of the 30 that we're going to get for free. And yeah, I guess we can start the outro because this fight is over. Veldora. Wow. Very, very gimmicky. That's a good hand because of just how many Rimuru orbs we have. So, let's get you out of here. Boom. It's now turn 5, so no matter what skills we use, we're going to be locked into whatever alt gauge that we have. Or crit rate. So 1, 2, and then we have 46% crit damage. Not the greatest, but it is what it is. And then we already have the 60% attack because we've been applying it every single time that she's been in the back. So we don't need to use Veldora here. So we have the EX ult, and we'll go ahead and send it. So anyways, Veldora. Really should not be summoning for him. He's not going to make a huge impact in the future. He'll be good for this meta, and only this meta. And then you're back to using other protectors who are not limited in their via 370k is awful. Wow. Yeah, I mean, you compare that to what Himmel is doing. You know, the constant passive and active orb changing, the stacking element buff, the skill points, and you're like, who the fuck made this unit? The art is cool. Everything else about him is just kind of very mid. So I'm not very impressed. I don't think he's going to have a lot of use outside of this month. He's locked to 2 elements that are fairly weak right now. Like, the number of wind and water characters are not it. So he's not going to help you out. So I really cannot recommend summoning for this Veldora. He will return just because he's got special art. He's not actually a collab character. He will come back in the future on some free ticket banner or a selector. That's when you pick him up if you really, really, really want him. But other than that, like, you should stay far away. But let me know what you guys think of this new Veldora. Do you agree that he's pretty super mid, or do you think I'm underselling him? Let me know in the comments. That's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.